How's it going, everybody? Today I'm here with Zero Tsu. She was one of the first people to ever have their vehicles added to the game with the agent. And most recently, she had another vehicle added in the form of the Parisian EXP1. Thank you so much, Zero, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Hello there.
General Kenobi. Anyway, to jump right into the first question, I guess, what pushed you towards modeling cars for Jailbreak, and what was the learning process like?
So, before getting into modeling jailbreak stuff, I used to model higher poly models, which I still enjoy modeling now. But when it comes specifically to jailbreak, I originally got into it because, well, Rally Subby. We were decent friends at the time. Which lead to me asking about it all. And eventually culminating in my first jailbreak concept. That being the Draco, a Ford RS 200. And well, that ended up getting about 150 likes or so on a Twitter account with 30 followers.
What was the development process of the agent specifically?
It originally was a part of a season concept I'd made at the time, which I named A Trip Through Time. The agent originally had 2 machine guns. That doesn't happen in-game obviously.
Yeah, that would have been cool to see. It's a shame that, like, with the Agent or the Goliath, they could have had some interesting weapons, but instead they just opt for stuff like the minigun or missiles that we already have a lot of and just aren't very good.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I like about them is how they go in and out when you go in or out the car.
Yeah, it's nice. But that's how we have the agent in-game.
What was your reaction when the devs decided to add your vehicle? And at the time, there was only one vehicle added as a community creation. So, how did you feel being the second ever person to be picked for this kind of reward?
Well, it's been a while now, but it definitely felt a lot different to how it was this time around. But, oh boy, the emotions hit hard. Like, imagine how it would feel to win a world championship. It feels like that. It's such a rush of emotion and pure euphoria that it's almost impossible to quantify.
What are your thoughts on the agent now looking back, almost 2 years after it was added?
Okay, so, as much as I love it, I can say that it's most certainly not perfect. It's quite possible it's one of the most inaccurate models of the interior of Jailbreak. And I'm not even joking. Especially when compared to the basis for it. That being, well, the DB5. Yeah, I love it, but I can say it's not perfect in any way, shape, or form.
What were your feelings on not having a vehicle added for almost 2 years straight, yet still trying to persevere and improve your modeling skills?
Alright, here's where I will get a bit real with everything for a second. Rather than be all happy-go-lucky. And a tad annoying whilst doing it. But I would say that it had genuinely affected my mental health, like, real bad. I've not been one to talk about the whole thing publicly, as I'm what some would consider one of the best community creators for the game. Because of skill, experience and all of that. It gets to your head a bit. You just begin to wonder after a period of time. Things like, is there some sort of bias against me? Am I just not good enough? Should I just quit? And well, you could probably imagine that it's not a good thing to be thinking about. Like, it got so bad to the point where I would regularly search up how many days it had been since May 1st, 2021, the day the agent was available for purchase. You begin to slowly watch the days increase over time. Watching that all get further and further away. In a way, feeling the same about your chances diminishing over time. But, hey, determination prevailed in the end. In some way, I feel as though the Parisian is a perfect example of getting over it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can put that period of time behind me and have a more forward look on life, rather than reminiscing on the past, as a sort of coping mechanism. Sorry it's a bit personal, but I feel that it's necessary to explain through thoroughly.
I really appreciate you talking to us about this because I imagined it was rough creating stuff and not having it added for this long, but I didn't know it had such an impact. So I appreciate you sharing this with us.
Yeah, it really is a weird time of my life, but I'm a very closeted individual when it comes to this stuff. But I do feel that it's also good to just take a break from time to time. In other words, what I'm trying to get at is, don't do something similar to what I did to myself. Yeah, but that's all I have to say on that.
What was the development process of the Parisian?
Well, it actually only came about because of a conversation I was having with Shadow Samurai. This was during Season 14. And after I'd made my first submission for it, that being the Bertha, after that I genuinely didn't know what to model. So, I just asked. Shadow reminded me about the existence of the original Parisian, which I'd forgotten about before then. And well, work began after that. It took about 3 or so days to perfect, including making the decals for the car. The only major difference between the in-game car and the IRL counterpart, the Peugeot 9x8, is that the jailbreak car has 2 seats. But the real fun stuff, that lies in the decals. Every single decal was made in Blender, and is a reference to the decals on the actual car. After it was revealed to the subreddit, I made several small tweaks and changes to it, which is also why I didn't upload anything during that time period, but most notably it was fixing issues and adding exhaust intakes. Although I'm happy with how it turned out overall, alongside being happy with how it was priced. As a small nod to Shadow Samurai himself, the person who gave the idea in the first place.
When was the Parisian chosen, and what was your reaction to Asimo finally picking one of your vehicles? And what did you think of the community reception?
Okay, so, when it came to being chosen, I was actually playing Gran Turismo at the time. On my PSP. On I think it was the 9th or 10th, and also late at night. When I get a random notification on my phone. And I actually thought it was some random person at first. I looked anyway however and well, it wasn't, it was just Asimo. So you know I accepted that request in a heartbeat. But I had that sort of feeling I mentioned about the agent previously. That being like, full of excitement. And well, being giddy on a whole other level. But when it was revealed, I absolutely love the community reception. It genuinely puts a smile on my face. When I see people talking about the Parisian in-game or on social media. It's a bit like hard work finally paying off. After all of this time. And I can't really express just how overwhelmingly positive the community is towards it.
So, after the Parisian, do you plan on continuing to create and submit more creations to Jailbreak Creations?
Hopefully, unless I absolutely die or something. Then I will continue to create. At least for a bit. Although definitely not as frequently as I used to. I've found it much more enjoyable to perfect each item I make, rather than get it out when submissions open. It leaves a lot of imperfections with what you make. And, who cares if it doesn't get up votes? You should just be happy that you made it how you wanted to make it. I go by the phrase, I model what I want when I want to. Rather than to feel forced to make something. I make it when I feel like I should. Which is why you usually see weird entries from me. Making weird entries is fun. I make limousines with 5 rocket engines and bubble cars with machine guns. Go weird for the hell of it. And all that.
Who would you say are some of your favorite Jailbreak Creations creators?
Smorios, Ike, Ed, and Shadow.
Yeah, I don't know Ake. I don't think I'm really familiar with their work, but yeah, the other three are very, very talented. Many creators that I've talked to, they've mentioned that you've been a big inspiration for them in creating their own submissions. Has being a motivational figure for people to make their own art impacted you?
I mean, it definitely speaks to me a fair bit. However, I feel kind of weird about people looking up to me, in a good way. It's understandable, but I can see why they look up to me. However, I just see myself as just another creator, much like them. And hey, I'm happy people look up to me. It's cool and all.
So, what would be your advice towards aspiring Jailbreak community creators or people who want to get into modeling in general?
Practice, oh my god, so much practice. That and determination. If you're determined to get an item of yours in-game, think of it as a goal, rather than a requirement. Put effort into improving what you make. And for the love of God, don't make it your life. Don't go completely overboard with what you're trying to do. Making things in the hopes of getting something in and forcing yourself to make it isn't all that recommended, as I spoke about earlier. As long as there is genuine passion and commitment into what you're making, absolutely try your best. But it's also good to just take a rest sometimes. Don't let it get to your head, and you'll be fine. Even if it takes a while. Oh, and I would also not recommend doing it solely for the money involved. I feel putting the thought of getting paid about it all adds a sense of jealousy in your head towards other creators. The money should honestly be like a small bonus on top of your item getting into the game.
So I guess for my final question, is there anything at all that you'd like to promote? This could be any future projects you're working on, any social media, anything like that.
I have nothing to promote, to be honest. Unless you want me to promote that one video I made of just the Parisian spinning. I dunno. Actually, go listen to Jamiroquai, a good artist. That's all. Good music, yes.
Sounds good. Anyway, thank you so much, Zio, for joining me today for our interview. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to stay in touch with what Zio is making, make sure to go follow her on Twitter.
Okay, can I break this chair now?
Yes, you could break the chair. Destroy it! Oh, she just flew over there. Ah, well, thank you for joining me again. Really appreciate it. And yeah, now I'm all alone. Bye, guys.